What's going on, YouTube? This is your boy Cornell, the Tech Savvy Rider. Today is August 22nd. Today I will be going over all the equipment that I will be using for my dual battery setup for my motorcycle. I will not be doing the installation. The installation is going to be part 2. I know for a fact this installation is going to take me about 2 days to do, because of the electronics that I already have on my Goldwing. So on this video, I'll be going over the equipment. I'll be going over some do's and don'ts, and also doing some so-called myth busting, trying to dispute some of the myths about dual battery setups. So stay tuned, and I'll get right back with you. GoPro, stop recording. A tech savvy rider implemented new technology to modify his 2015 GL 1800 Honda Goldwing. That Goldwing later became known as Black Flash, an extreme lighting show bike. What's going on, YouTube? This is your boy Cornell, the Tech Savvy Rider. What I want to do is go over each one of the pieces of equipment that I will be using for my dual battery setup for my motorcycle. I'll be going over each part, and then I'll be explaining to you why I chose these parts out there. So let's get started. Now, on your Goldwing, the alternator on your Goldwing is averaging the average alternator is giving up about 75 amps. For stock, all the way up to 150 amps for some third-party amps. I don't think there's any alternator out there for the Goldwing that's going to give off more than that. So you're looking at between 75 to 150, depending on which version alternator that you got. Now, before you get started on a dual battery setup, the first thing you need to do is disconnect your primary battery. Disconnect your negative first, and then disconnect your positive. On your positive terminal, you need to make sure that everything that you had connected for as any type of fuse block, any type of inline fuse, anything that you have for accessories for a one battery setup on your motorcycle, all of that needs to be disconnected off of the positive. If you got anything on the negative, disconnect it too. But everything needs to be off the primary battery. Now, for a dual battery setup, if you had to buy a new battery, then let that new battery become the primary battery, and then your primary battery that you originally had, set it up as your secondary battery. Okay, this particular battery is the stock battery that comes in the 2009 through the 2017 Goldwing. It is the factory battery. This is a 12-volt battery that has a 250 cold cranking amps. I'll talk about all that later. This is the model GYZ20L. This particular battery, you can purchase it from CycleMax.com. The 2001 and through the 2008 version looks similar, but it has high performance written across. That battery is rated at 310 cold cranking amps. So, but no matter which battery you're using, that 2001 through 2008 can also fit the 2009 through 2017 model. It's just dealing with the efficiency of the year that these batteries were made is the difference in them. So I stuck with the same version that my bike came with. Alright, the battery itself, I just described it. Now, coming from my battery, the first thing I want to do is connect my positive terminal. I'm using a 4-gauge wire going from the positive terminal. It'll be going behind the battery all the way across, up behind the saddlebag, and there's an entry hole that I created in my saddlebag where this will be coming out going into the saddlebag. It'll be connecting to my isolator. This isolator is one of the things that I want to talk about because it is very unique. This isolator is made by, here's the product name of it. It's Battery Doctor. I think it's made by Wilco. I chose this particular isolator because it does three things. It's an isolator, it's a charger, and it's a jumper. Alright, I'll go over that later on. But the positive 4-gauge cable will be coming from the battery going to the main auxiliary on this isolator. Alright, this isolator needs to be grounded inside the saddlebag, since that's where I'm put it. It needs to be connected to a ground that's going to the frame. Now there's one bolt inside the saddlebag that I know of that's connecting to a frame, and that's the one that's behind the little dust cover up against the side wall in your saddlebag. You just simply pull that dust cover out, and that's where that ground screw is at. It's holding the saddlebag up against the frame. Okay, and so that's where that screw will be going for me. Now, coming from the isolator, I have another 4-gauge wire coming from the isolator going to my inline fuse. Now, as you can see, my isolator is rated at 150 amps. This 4-gauge cable will be going from it, going to my inline fuse, which is also rated at 150 amps. This is a blade fuse. You can find these blade fuses if you go to your local retail store that sells audio products or audio car stereo systems. They'll most likely have it. You won't be able to go to an auto store looking for these type of inline fuses. Auto stores will probably have a 30 amp and probably maxed out at 40, maybe 50. But to go higher, you'll need to go to either order it online, say for instance from Amazon, or go to your retail store that's doing car stereo systems. They will have it. These blade inline fuses are kind of expensive. If you go to a retail shop to get it, online you probably can get it for about $15. It's an inline blade fuse that connects inside to the inline fuse holder. My red battery cable will be going from my isolator to my 150 amp inline fuse. From my inline fuse, I have another battery cable, 4-gauge, going from it, going to my secondary battery. Now, I want to make sure that you all understand that there's an inline fuse between the isolator and the battery. Now, any fuse blocks that you had previously on your primary battery when it was a one battery setup, it needs to be going to the positive on your secondary battery. So everything is coming from the primary going to the secondary battery. So you have an inline fuse going to the battery and an inline fuse or fuse blocks coming from the secondary battery going out to all of your different accessories that you originally had. That is the proper way to set this up. Now, the instructions for this isolator says that the second battery needs to be grounded. What I'm going to do is ground my secondary battery by connecting the ground cable going all the way back to my primary. So I will have two battery cables coming in through the saddlebag. One is positive coming in and the other one is ground going back out to the main battery. That is a sure way to make sure that my secondary battery is grounded. I do not want to put my ground battery for my battery, the ground connection for my battery, along with the ground connection for my isolator. I just simply don't want to do it. I want to make sure this bad boy is grounded. Now, with the ground coming from it, going back to the primary battery, now it's time for you to connect your primary battery. Connect your positive and then connect your negative. That's it. You're completely done. The installation for the secondary battery is complete. Now, during the installation of my dual battery setup, I'll be going over the main purpose of this isolator. And this portion, I'll be going over the so-called myths and debunking some of the rumors that people are constantly familiar with or constantly keep repeating that that's simply just not true. Okay. First thing first, do you need a charger on a 2-battery setup? Normally on a 2-battery setup, you don't if you're using this type of isolator. Like I said, this isolator is a isolator, it's a charger, and it's a jumper. The reason this particular isolator eliminates something like a battery tender or a battery charger is because if this primary battery dies for some reason, say for instance I left my lights on along with the stereo and I walked away and walked around somewhere and came back, my battery is dead. My primary battery is dead. Because this isolator is an isolator, meaning that it stops the secondary battery from draining from the primary. So that means if this primary battery is totally dead, my secondary battery is still fully charged. Isolated means that it's stopping this secondary battery from pulling from this primary battery if it's dead. So I still have a full charge on my secondary battery. That's the isolation part. The jumping feature on this isolator, if my primary battery is dead, all I have to do is push the jumper feature and it's going to change my isolation battery setup to a parallel battery setup, which will allow my second battery to go over and become my primary battery, or giving my or giving me some juice so I can start my bike. So in other words, switching it over turns into a parallel setup, and now I have an active battery that's charged so I can start my Gold Wing. Once the battery is charged, once the battery is turned over to parallel and I can start my bike, it's going to automatically, the isolator is automatically, it's going to start charging back my primary battery. And then it's going to shut itself off once it reaches. If the second battery, primary battery is, that's where the charging features come in. So it's an isolator, it's a jumper, it's a charger. Once it detects that my primary battery is fully charged, it's going to divert from it and go back to my recharging my secondary battery. That is why I love this particular isolator. It gives you that confidence that your bike will start no matter what. If it comes to a dead battery, you still got another battery you can jump off of. That is the main reason why I'm choosing this isolator. Now, some of the myths that is out there that I want to debunk. Some people are trying to say that you do not need a inline fuse going to your secondary battery. That is not true. You definitely need a inline fuse going to that second battery, and this is why. Batteries are man-made. They're not perfect. Anything man-made is not perfect. A battery will at some point give off an overcharge or give a charge. There's an overcurrent. If that overcurrent is not being protected, meaning that it's straight on this line, when that overcurrent happens, it's going to that second battery, and that second battery is probably going to do some type of feedback, okay? Because it's positive. You got two batteries giving off a charge. That type of connection can easily burn up this cable. And that's where your fire can come in, or that's where all the damages can start coming in, because you got a melting wire that's inside your bike and it's being surrounded by a whole lot of plastic. So yeah, you need an inline fuse capable of handling this type of isolator to prevent that. So yes, you do need an inline fuse to protect your equipment. If you're going to do this type of setup, do it correctly. Be safe about it. Inside of a car, I probably would take a chance on a dual battery without a fuse line because there's plenty of space. There's plenty of room. Not on a motorcycle. You don't. It's compact. Everything is on top of each other. And the minute something starts burning up, your motorcycle is gone. So do the right thing. Get your inline fuse between those two batteries to stop it from doing any type of overcharge or anything like that, to stop it from burning itself up. That inline fuse is going to detect that and shut it off. That's why you need the inline fuse. Another myth that I heard is a guy was trying to tell me that one of his applications or something that he's got on his motorcycle or got on his car, I'm not sure exactly what it was, he's trying to say that it required his battery to have a 350 cold cranking amps in order to use it. I don't know what he was referring to or anything like that. I don't know if he had some type of music amp system or something. I don't know. But he specifically said that it required for him to have a 350 cranking amp battery. So he bought a secondary battery that's compatible, that's the same as his primary battery, 250. So in his mind, when he did a dual battery setup, he's thinking that his 250 cranking amp plus 250 cranking amp is going to now give him 500 cranking amp. That is not true. I don't care how many batteries you got set up that's connected to each other. If it's a 250 cranking amp on each battery, guess what? You still got a 250 cranking amp for your primary battery, no matter what. If you need to have a battery, or you need to reach a 350 cold cranking amp for some apparent reason, then one of your batteries, which is the primary, need to have a 350 cold cranking amp. Period. So in other words, you got to take this off, brother, and get you a 350 cold cranking amp battery, and then your problem is solved. Combining these two does not give you that. It's still a 250 cold cranking amp battery that you have in your system, even though you're running a dual system. Another myth is if you run a two-system dual battery setup, you need to change your alternator. That is another myth that is not true. If your dual battery setup is set up correctly means you got 12 volt connected as a 12 volt. Your alternator can still charge both batteries because these batteries are set up in a parallel, meaning that say for instance it's rated at 1200 on this battery and rated at 1200 on this battery, then it becomes a 2400 rating battery, but it's still a 12 volt. So your alternator will have no reason to change out your alternator. Now this is where people get confused. You can also do a dual battery setup and change it from a 12 volt to a 24 volt. Now you're talking about burning stuff up. That means you got a positive coming from your primary going to the negative on your secondary, and then you probably using the negative off of the primary plus the positive on the secondary. You do that on a motorcycle, your new motorcycle name is going to be Flames. It's going to burn up. You're going to take everything with you because the system is not set up for a 24 volt system. It is set up for a 12. So yes, you are right, and yes, you are wrong. If it's set up correctly, your dual battery setup, if it's set up correctly, your alternator will charge both batteries. If it's set up incorrectly, your motorcycle is on fire. So either way, You know, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just being realistic here. If it's done correctly, you're okay. Your alternator do not need to be changed out. That should basically cut out all the rumors that I so-called have or heard people wrote me about and asked. Now my next video is going to be the installation. Like I said, because I got so much stuff on my bike that I got to get it prepared. Take everything off the primary and get it ready for the secondary battery. If I have a promotion for this product on this video, please take advantage of it. It's going to give you a discount. If I have it available, you might be able to win it. If I have it, it'll be using it as a promotional product for my channel. If I was able to get it. If not, then hey, you can buy this product off of Amazon. You can buy this product off of Amazon also. It's rating. I think this product is probably around $57, somewhere close to that. This product online, inline fuse with a 50 amp, 150 amp inline fuse. You probably can get it for about $15. Buying it retail, you probably go as high as $35 if you buy it retail. But other than that, hey, that's my setup. This is what I'll be using. This is what I'm getting ready to install. So stay tuned for the next video. That's my spiel for today, YouTube. Please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions about this setup, please leave them in the comment and I will address them in the second portion of this video. So that's my spiel for today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one. GoPro, stop recording.